The Indian Weekender. As we all know that we are living in a global pandemic which is still raging overseas, so it is very important to know more about vaccines. We also know that India is one of the leading vaccine makers. But what we don't know that one of the leading Indian vaccination company is in New Zealand. They have recently forayed into New Zealand and started a new manufacturing base in Dargaville, a small town in Northland. So to inaugurate that building, that manufacturing unit, we recently had the managing director of Indian Immunologicals Ltd, Dr. K. Anand Kumar, who is in the country to inaugurate the New Zealand subsidiary, Pristine Biologicals. So today we are fortunate to be joined by Dr. K. Anand Kumar, Managing Director of Indian Immunologicals Ltd, and Dr. Vijay Dasari, who is the New Zealand head of the enterprise. So welcome to our studio, Mr. Anand Kumar. Very good morning to you.
Thank you.
And welcome to our studio, Dr. Vijay.
Thank you. You're fine.
Great. So first of all, Mr. Anand, we are really surprised to see an Indian vaccination company here in New Zealand. So can you tell us a little bit more about this enterprise and how long you have been here?
Okay. Good morning, Sandeep. We are Indian Immunologicals Ltd. We are a subsidiary of the National Dairy Development Board. When India started Operation Flood, there was a desire to increase milk production in the country. So one of the ways that where milk production can be increased in the country was to restrain disease. So we were set up just as a company to make animal vaccines. We started in 1982 and today we are the largest veterinary vaccine company in India. And while we were making a lot of veterinary vaccines, somewhere in 1998, the government of India asked if Indian Immunologicals can make safe vaccines for rabies. So then we started our journey into the human vaccine side. And today we are the world's largest producer of human rabies vaccine. And we also make several human vaccines which we supply to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Today, as you know, 60% of vaccines supplied to the UNICEF is made in India. And also you would understand that during this pandemic, India was fortunate to have companies in India, including us, who made vaccines, COVID-19 vaccines at a very, very affordable price. Sure. And it's a very big challenge to vaccinate 1.3 billion people. And fortunately, all the vaccine companies in India came together to ensure that these vaccines are provided at a very, very affordable price to the government of India.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much for that introduction. And just adding on what you have said about National Dairy Development Board, you have touched upon Operation White Flood. So that is the enterprise, and that is the project which transformed India from being a milk deficient to be self-sufficient into milk production as well. So we'll come back and talk more about that. But before that, you briefly touched that Indian Immunologicals company has contributed into COVID vaccine as well. So can you enlighten us more on that?
Okay. So sometime in April, May last year, there was a shortage of vaccines in the country. And while there was a desire to vaccinate the entire population at a very, very rapid pace. So what we did is we collaborated with another company who are our competitors in the vaccine business, but in the interest of the nation, we two companies came together and there was a technology transfer. And what we did is we converted one of our facilities where we were making rabies vaccines into a vaccine facility which could make COVID-19 vaccine. And all this had to be done at breakneck speed because we were just wanting to do this entirely in a manner that vaccines are available pretty quickly. So in 2 months' time, all the facility modifications were done, the technology transfer happened between the companies, and also all commercial agreements had been signed off. And we started producing these vaccines, and we have supplied more than about 20 million doses of vaccines to the government of India. And that came in very, very handy for the government.
In India's fight against COVID, right? Right. Okay. Now, one of the most important questions that matters to our Kiwi Indian audiences here, that what is Indian Immunological Limited doing here in New Zealand? And enlighten me as well that how long you've been here. Because my understanding say that probably you have started this Dargaville manufacturing unit only on 12th of July. But I will leave it to you to enlighten us more on that.
Okay. We have been in New Zealand for almost about 6 years now. To make quality vaccines, you need quality ingredients. And for making a lot of viral vaccines, serum is a very, very key ingredient used in vaccine manufacture. New Zealand and Australia, the bovine serum are the preferred sera to use because these two countries do not have several OIE listed diseases. And so serum from these countries demand a premium. And serum is used as an ingredient in making of several viral vaccines. And previously, we as a company were sourcing from Australia and New Zealand. But we were dependent on various suppliers from here, and always they would never ensure us the quantity that we need. And also they kept on increasing their prices, which became very, very... And in India, like we as an NDDB subsidiary and Indian Immunologicals, we have to make affordable vaccines because to help our farmers vaccinate their animals. So when we were at the mercy of suppliers in New Zealand, we decided that with Dr. Vijay Dasari, we decided that why don't we establish our own manufacturing facility here, so that it was a backward integration. That means we are trying to secure some raw material which is of importance in vaccine manufacturing. So we came here in 2014, and in very quick time, like in 2015, we inaugurated the plant. And since then, all the supplies to Indian Immunologicals is from this establishment in New Zealand. And our consumption is pretty huge because we are one of the largest producer of vaccines in the world. We consume close to about 500 tons of serum ourselves.
Wow.
And those quantities are not freely available in the market.
Right.
So when we started this enterprise, we started with very humble beginnings. And one is we have completely secured this material. And in this COVID crisis, a lot of our competitors in India are struggling to get New Zealand bovine serum. So the government of India, the secretary, when he visited Hyderabad recently, he requested if IL can expand Pristine operations in New Zealand and also on a priority provide serum to our own competitors there.
So I think a lot is happening in the space of vaccination, especially during the pandemic. And it is a great story that there is a strong connection between New Zealand and India, which is something that our 250,000 strong Kiwi Indians, they really aspire for. They want to see a stronger trade relations between New Zealand and India. And that's a great story. Thanks for sharing with us. And probably this is time for me to ask our New Zealand operations head, Mr. Vijay Dasari, to tell more about this New Zealand operation and yes, enlighten us that since what exactly you have been doing and what have been the challenges to expand operation as per the vision of Dr. Anand Kumar.
Thank you, Sandeep. And production we have started in 2016, and it's because of the foot and mouth and the BSc TSC free. So this bovine serum has got premium. So we have been making serum for the last at least 6-7 years here, and most of the problems here is due to COVID, the staffing became a big issue for us, and we have supplies are good here, and because of the antibodies, many diseases are not here, and we are able to make a premium serum here.
Great. Thank you very much for telling us, and you have touched upon one of the most pressing issues that I think entire New Zealand business environment is experiencing, the shortage of staffing, and we are glad to know that your business and this enterprise is not very adversely affected, isn't it? Because there is no shortage of supply.
I mean, we have never faced any supply issues. That's probably because Vijay and team have rose up to the occasion and has been working continuously.
Perfectly great. And now, for the benefit of our Kiwi Indian audiences, can you enlighten us more about the nature of this manufacturing unit? Is it just a manufacturing unit, or is it more a research plus manufacturing unit?
It is a manufacturing unit where this unit produces pharmaceutical grade serum, which is used in vaccine manufacturing. And that's one of the reasons why we decided to do this operations ourselves. Because we are a pharmaceutical company and we have to follow good manufacturing standards. And as a result, we have created a facility which is very close to the silver fern farms. And what happens is blood is sourced from the farm, and then we do a lot of processing, and then the serum is then exported to India in minus 20 degrees Celsius, because serum is perishable, so it has to be shipped in minus 20 degrees.
And so right now the way you have said it is a backward integration, and the way it's working is that New Zealand enterprise is providing raw materials for all India's vaccination needs. So does Indian Immunological Ltd, are you envisaging to directly export anything, these vaccines from your New Zealand base, or it has to just go back to India only?
Currently, the serum that is produced here the quantity is only enough for our own captive expand. And we are now planning to expand in such a manner that this entity can also supply serum to other countries. Currently, we are supplying to other countries like Australia, Turkey, and a few other countries. But since this expansion is going to happen, and we are here exactly for that purpose, we are also looking at how we can, like what this model that we have done in Dargaville, we want to replicate in few other sites within New Zealand. And see, we are very happy with the business environment here, like the transparency and everything that New Zealand has to offer makes it a very, very good destination for investment. It's a very safe investment. And with this Dargaville facility coming up good, we are very, very confident of creating or replicating this in multiple sites across New Zealand.
That's really great news, and which actually tells us that there are more prospects of creating more jobs here in New Zealand.
Yeah. Right. So that's the case. Like currently in our Dargaville facility, because it's a facility which caters to following good manufacturing practices, getting people with adequate training is difficult, but we provide all the training because all the standard operating procedures are well defined in our organization. And so it will mean more jobs. Like as we open more and more facilities, it will mean more jobs for.
That's great news. Thank you very much for that, Dr. Anand. Now I've got two more generic questions which actually is of interest for our Kiwi Indian audiences. One is about the general environment of India and New Zealand trade. We want to see more trade, and I think in this space, pharmaceutical space, how do you envision, do you think there is more areas or scope of further collaboration between India and New Zealand in terms of vaccine or pharmaceuticals?
See, the world economies all have opened up. Countries do whatever they are skilled in, they offer their expertise to a lot of other countries, and there's good learning and exchange of information and also services that can happen between countries. I don't see any reason why New Zealand and India, cannot further strengthen their relationship in terms of exchange of.
Great. Now, the last, but I think the most important question in current environment of global pandemic, like we have almost been living in a life of scare, with this COVID pandemic, the new variants of virus coming probably in every few months, and now we have a recent news of a new monkey virus coming into New Zealand that is causing a lot of stir here as well. So just want to know your input as the premium vaccine makers, that we as a humankind, should we be living in this sense of fear for too long, or should we be feeling confident in the abilities of vaccine makers that they will come up and rise to the challenges posed by these new variants of virus every day?
These are, as a result of certain disturbances that humankind has caused on nature. And one thing with COVID-19, at least back home in India, we feel that we are on top of it, in the sense that there's a lot of data indicate that there's good amount of herd immunity which is formed there. And also there's been a very good vaccination coverage back in India. And one of the things that Omicron did was it spread very fast, but it also gave people relatively good immunity. And also Omicron did not cause hospitalization back in India as much as the Delta or other variants did. So I think that as far as COVID-19 is concerned, that a lot of countries would accept the fact that it would be more of an endemic than a pandemic, and they would continue to live like we are living with influenza and other viruses. As far as monkeypox, it's too early to comment, and I think because now the whole world, one of the things that happened with COVID-19 is almost every civilian living in this world is well aware about diseases, well about infectious diseases, well about vaccines. So, had it not been COVID, had a thing like monkeypox come a few years ago, then nobody would even cared about it. So I think we are just getting a bit more jittery about something that we need not have to.
Surely, and I think that is very promising and very reassuring words from you to conclude our discussion that yes, let's not be jittery. Vaccine makers, scientists all over the world, they are doing their best, and governments, they are trying to collaborate as much as they can. But I think today is all about celebrating an Indian company's success here in New Zealand and the story of collaboration. So I congratulate you both for this enterprise and success of this enterprise. I wish you all the best from our audiences. And yes, thanks for sharing your time and being with us today.
Thank you, Sandip. It was a pleasure being in the studio, and thanks a lot for interviewing us, and also thanks a lot for helping other people living both in India and New Zealand know about what we are doing here. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.